Join me as I take on the challenge of sharing my journey of surviving a toxic relationship and how I came out stronger on the other side. Toxic relationships can be incredibly draining, both mentally and emotionally. They have a way of making you feel like you're walking on eggshells, never knowing what will trigger the next argument or outburst. The toll they take on your self-esteem and overall well-being can be devastating. I know firsthand how difficult it is to recognize the signs of a toxic relationship. For me, it started with constant criticism, belittling comments, and a general feeling of being unheard. My partner would often make me feel like I was the problem, like I was overreacting or being too sensitive. It was a never-ending cycle of self-doubt and anxiety. I felt trapped, like I was stuck in a never-ending nightmare. As time went on, the behavior escalated, and I found myself feeling isolated from friends and family. I was constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering an argument or outburst. The stress and anxiety took a toll on my physical health, and I began to feel like I was losing myself. I was exhausted, both mentally and emotionally. Looking back, I can see that I was in a state of denial. I kept thinking that things would get better, that my partner would change. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. I was scared, and I didn't know how to escape. It took a lot of courage for me to finally acknowledge the reality of my situation. The incidents that contributed to the toxicity were numerous. There was the time my partner yelled at me in front of friends, making me feel humiliated and belittled. There were the constant accusations of flirting with others, even when I was just being friendly. And then there were the gaslighting episodes, where my partner would deny previous agreements or conversations, making me question my own sanity. These incidents chipped away at my self-esteem, making me feel like I was worthless. These experiences affected my mental health in profound ways. I struggled with anxiety and depression, and I began to doubt my own perceptions. I felt like I was living in a constant state of fear, never knowing what would happen next. My self-esteem was at an all-time low, and I felt like I was losing my sense of identity. The pivotal moment for me came when I realized that I had a choice. I could continue living in this toxic environment, or I could take control of my life and leave. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary. I remember feeling a mix of emotions, fear, sadness, but also a sense of determination. As I prepared to leave, I knew that it wouldn't be easy. I had to gather my strength and find a way to move forward. It was a scary and uncertain time, but I knew it was the only way to reclaim my life. The journey of healing and personal growth that followed was not easy, but it was worth it. I had to relearn who I was outside of the toxic relationship. I had to rediscover my passions and interests and find new ways to cope with stress and anxiety. It took time, patience, and support, but I slowly began to rebuild my life. If you've been through a similar experience, I want to hear from you. Share your story in the comments below, and let's support one another. If you're interested in learning more about my journey of self-love and healing, be sure to check out my next video, where I dive deeper into my experiences and share some valuable lessons I've learned along the way.